I am restocking my shelves for another about 10 minutes. So I thought I'd make a video while I do it because it's raining like crazy. Here, I'm going to take these over here. I'm going to restock. I'm going to put out the video games I have and the Blu-rays. Do a little bit of this and I'll finish that off tomorrow because I have to take off. But it's raining like crazy here in Southern California right now. Today is, what is today? The 5th of February, rather. So let me put these out. I'll share that with you in a second. So I got a PS4, I got this, Call of Duty. Put that up there. Where is it? No, put that down here. I have a Wii. I'll put the Wii here to show it off. Whoops. I have the PS4, which I'll put, where's the PS4? Put it down here with the other PS4s. But let me share with you. It kind of comes and goes though. Right now it's steady, but it's not coming down super hard. It was just coming down much harder than this. This is just like a steady flow, but generally it's been sort of between this is like the lightest it's been for a while now, most of the day, and then it'll come down super hard for a few minutes. As you can see, it's filled up the water, or the parking area over there is filled up with water. So it's a bit wet. But it says it's going to keep raining until, like, what's today? Monday, so it's going to rain apparently today, tomorrow, and Wednesday for the most part, and not rain on Thursday. Thankfully, that's when I'm going to open. And then it's going to, hold on, I'm only doing this with one hand. It says it's going to rain Friday as well, but we'll see. So yeah, so I'm going to keep putting out everything. This is the new one that I picked up last week, which I never heard of before. It's apparently pretty hard to find. Cattle Annie and Little Britches. So we'll see if anyone picks that up here in the store anytime soon. I don't mind restocking. Like, I don't mind doing the Blu-rays. In general, I don't mind. The CDs can be a bit of a pain. Number one, because I got Gaylords in the way, so when it's raining, I can't pull them out, and there's not much space to put everything out. But yeah, I don't mind in general. Jack Reacher, Oxford Murders. But it does give me a chance to, for instance, with the Blu-rays, to make sure they're not pushed back or pushed out too far, realign them, that kind of thing. The boring stuff that's involved in owning a store, running a store. So it doesn't look too bad. I essentially pull them forward versus pushing them back in the shelf so that it's easier for people to see, even though it's easier for them to get, you know, shoved around and that kind of thing. I like to align the bottom edges of the Blu-rays with the shelf so that it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but at least close. And then yeah, basically, so the Blu-rays are done, neatly put on the edge. This one I don't put on the edge because it's got this here, this sort of, I don't know what it's called, this, not lip, but instead of it being flush with the shelf here, this one's got this little deal that comes out. So anyway, but yeah, so I am gonna take off shortly. My daughter didn't go to school today. She was a little sick. My son went, so she's not going to gymnastics. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So I still want to go to the gym, and then my son has soccer practice. So that's all. Total side note, has nothing to do with this channel, but that's what's going on. And now I've got some cool books to put out. Audiobooks. I've been getting audiobooks from the Gaylords, from these CD Gaylords that just happen to have a good amount of, what do you call it, of audiobooks in there. So that's been good to bolster my audiobook selection. I don't sell too many, but it's nice when someone comes in that I have a decent selection. And I always put out a decent amount of CDs because I've got so many now with going through all the Gaylords. I'm building up a nice back stock, and I still have lots of DVD back stock, not just movies, but TV shows, documentaries, all kinds of stuff. That's partly what is back here. Books, though, it's funny. Books, I don't have a big back stock. I've only got enough for like typically anywhere between like a week to 3 weeks. And now with the second location, I've got to send a lot of books over there as well to make sure there's really good books hitting the shelves at the second location, so that it starts to have, a more diverse offerings and figuring out what people are looking for, kind of a thing. I already put out my records. Records are one thing that I'm looking for now because I don't have that much of a back stock. And I always do have people that come in and look for records. So just trying to get some more, looking for records right now, like through OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace, that kind of thing. That's one thing. Like I got Blu-rays recently. I have a lot of Blu-rays. Video games and records are the two. Actually, it's easier to get records than Blu-rays, but I still gotta look pretty consistently to find a good deal. Kind of what I'm looking for is, on OfferUp, on Facebook Marketplace, somebody that's looking to get rid of a lot of them at once, and is really the priority for them is just trying to get rid of them and not try to make a bunch of money or top dollar on them. So 100 records for, I'd pay $100 for them, $1 each if they're good titles, but probably more like $50, something like that, $60 for 100 records. For 200 records, $100 sounds good. As long as they're the records that make sense. I don't want certain types of genres. I don't want a bunch of classical, a bunch of kids, a bunch of Christmas, a bunch of Andy Williams, Dean Martin, that kind of stuff. But Frank Sinatra, that'd be good. But, in general, it's mostly some 60s, but mostly 70s, 80s, and of course 90s stuff, which I rarely come across. But yeah, so I'm definitely more picky with what I'm going to spend money on when it comes to records, because I know I have a better idea of what sells. And the genres like soul and funk sell really well. Classic rock, of course. A lot of stuff from the 70s, 80s does well. Some from the 60s, even back to the 50s. So it depends on what it is, though. It depends on the type of music it is. Jazz, of course, still does well. What do you call it? What else does? I mean, of course, stuff like punk rock, if I had it, which I just don't come across it. Some Spanish does well as well. Spanish language music on vinyl, soundtracks. So it always varies. But I've been selling records here in the store for almost 4.5 years, and selling records online for longer than that. And there's just certain genres. It's funny though, some people will walk in and they'll grab some country, or they'll grab some classical, or they'll grab some kids, stuff that I don't sell very much of. Or like I had someone buy polka one time. So you just never know what someone's going to pick up. Also, sometimes someone comes in and they'll buy stuff that's been sitting for a long time that almost everybody passes up, and then suddenly they're bringing me 10 of those records and buy them all, and they're excited about them. So you just don't know. That's why it's good to have a variety in your store. If you have a retail store, whether it's, whatever it is, whether it's records or DVDs or CDs or video games, that's just have a wide selection for a lot of different tastes. And over time, you kind of figure out what's the most popular stuff, but you should still probably have other types of genres, unless you're specializing in something. Unless you're entirely jazz music, or you're all classic rock, or you're all soul, or you're all rap, or whatever it is. That's different, of course. You're specializing in something. You probably have a smaller store. And I know there's a record store here, kind of close to where I live, about 20 minutes or so away, that mostly does punk rock, and I think some other genres, but a lot of it is punk rock. I think they might do new wave-ish stuff as well, but they kind of stick to a couple of genres and have a massive selection. So they basically go deep into certain genres versus what I have, where I have more of one, like I have more jazz, you know, than a lot of other stuff, but a lot of 60s, a lot of 70s, but you know, they go deep into one into one genre, which is, you know, if you're into that, then that's what you're definitely going to be going for. So those are some random thoughts as I'm putting stuff out, and as the rain continues to kind of come and go. All right, guys, see you in the next video. Take care.